Guys, guys, power metal's back. I'm going to talk to you right now about this band right here, Twilight Force, and this album, Heroes of Mighty Magic. I know you guys were expecting a Metallica review, but this album is so much better than that, and I want to take some time to tell you about it and tell you why it's awesome. If you can't gather from this amazing cover art with the dragon eclipsing the moon and the fairies and the purple fire, this is a power metal band. This is a high-flying, speed, symphonic power metal band from Sweden. They are a sextet from Sweden. They are very, very reminiscent of Rhapsody, of early Dragon Force, 90s Gamma Ray, definitely Lost Horizon, and definitely Blind Guardian. If you're a fan of any of those bands, or all of them as I am, this is sure to please you with its quality songs, its quality production, and its amazing performances. Is absolutely one of the best records I've heard in a long time, especially in the power metal genre, but really in any genre. If you are a fan of power metal, I think it's definitely worth your time to check it out. Go watch some videos on YouTube, and then maybe go pick up the record. If you are not a fan of power metal, but a fan of other metal, this might still really be your thing because of how high a quality it is. And if you're not a fan of metal at all, this might actually get you into metal because of how much stuff there is going into it and how many different elements they combine. So I will also say about this, looking at this amazing cover, I have never seen a product that so relentlessly pursued its direction and its aesthetic from the top to the bottom with its materials, its output, how the music sounded. Everything about it is completely unified with this like high fantasy direction, and it's actually really, really good. I know that some people have like a low tolerance for cheese, but trust me, when it's done this well, you're not really gonna think it's that cheesy. It's extremely well done. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about the packaging because of how much that reflects, I think, the band's commitment to this particular, presenting this aesthetic to people. And I'm going to talk about the other things that I normally talk about with a record review as well. So the first thing is, let's take a look at the packaging. This is a double LP. I really, really love this in this size because of how beautiful, I'm trying to get the reflection off there for you guys, how beautiful that picture is of the dragon and everything. You can really see the detail with the fairies. It's an excellent piece of art. This painting continues on the back to make an entire scene for you guys with the rainbow going over the castle, very reminiscent of 1975's Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, one of my favorite records. And I'm a huge fan of Rainbow, by the way. Rainbows are back. We're taking them back for the metal crowd. So the painting continues all the way across the back where you get the track listings. And boy, that's just beautiful. And when you look on the inside, instead of pictures of the band, what you get are these amazing fantasy paintings of the members of the band with the dragons in the background and the twisted yew trees and everything. Absolutely love this presentation of their aesthetic, and they dress like this on stage, by the way, and they do perform under pseudonyms like black metal artists, only they're not they're not cheesy like King of Hell, they're not cheesy black metal names. They are they're their RP names, they're like Dungeons and Dragons characters. There's even a track on this album that's just a guy talking to you about their characters, which seem really stupid, but it's such a relentless pursuit of this particular aesthetic and direction. You just have to like appreciate it and love it. So we have their sort of their fantasy expressions of the band members on the inside. Not only that, I'm going to go one step further, and the insert, which has all the wonderful lyrics on it, very, very like positive, fun lyrics. They have a map of their fantasy land on the inside of the album, which is really, really cool. Again, it's just more commitment to what they're doing. And when you're that committed to it, when you have that much follow through for what you're doing, it pays off. Like it ends up really like coming off as a good product. It's extremely polished, very, very committed. The records, by the way, the LPs, they come in very, very good packaging as well. They come in plastic lined sleeves, which is really, really good. That's better than the sort of like basic paper sleeves that you may get from time to time with your other records. And I actually am having trouble getting one of these out right now for some reason. Here we go. So the sleeves for the records are I don't know if you can see this. They have a nice plastic lining all the way through the inside, which will keep your records nice and clean and protect them from damage. Each one is individually like hand engraved with the numbers and everything, like the records of old, and not just like stamped, which is a cool touch, and I appreciate that. So the packaging is great. Let's talk about the music a little bit. The music continues that tradition of greatness. When you get this and you're like, man, my expectations are sky high, it meets those expectations. So let's first talk about the compositions. The compositions are really what makes this record work for me. And well, they're not just that. I shouldn't say that. They are extremely well done. The two gentlemen who wrote this, which are the lead guitar player and the keyboardist, much like Rhapsody, they clearly have a deep understanding of music theory. They're using every trick in the book, every compositional trick in the book, to deceive you. They're using deceptive cadences. They're using their predominant sections really, really effectively. They're using motifs. They're using modulations extremely well. There's nothing cheesy about the compositions so much as it's all the compositional techniques from the 19th century sort of brought forward in this little package. So all the stuff from all the way through Wagner, all the classical style stuff, that's all brought into this. And it's brought in a new way. So you don't have these long form songs that you might have heard like in the classical period. Rather, you have, metal songs. And there's even like some show design that to me is very reminiscent of like a DCI show. And I had my students listen to this and they're like, it sounds like Disney metal. It sounds like I'm at a show at Disneyland or something. Like it's so over the top. And there's so much happening so quickly. I totally understand that effect. So maybe you want to call this not adventure metal, but Disney metal or something like that. It's all very appropriate. So the compositions are top notch. I give them like 10 out of 10. Perfect score. They're completely effective. There's not a single moment in this on this record where I was bored. There were tons of surprises on my first listen to. There's tons of things to discover on further listens, which is great. And generally, the compositions are really effective. If they have a really epic feeling, they'll make you feel that way. If they're really joyful, they'll make you feel very joyful. If they're telling a story, they're very effective at that and drawing out that final resolution to the last chords. So overall, I think the songs are extremely well written. It's some of the best power metal compositions I've heard. Probably since Lost Horizon. And Lost Horizon, if you haven't heard Lost Horizon, you need to go listen to some Lost Horizon. They're absolutely one of the best bands that ever existed, and most people still don't know who they are or who they were. They were a Swedish band, power metal band, fronted by Daniel Hyman, and God, they were good. And this is one of those, it's like the first power metal record since Lost Horizon I've been really excited about. I feel like maybe the genre's gotten a little bit stale, at least starting, I guess, like the post Lost Horizon and sort of post Dragon Force, first couple of Dragon Force records, I felt like the power metal genre started to get stale, especially with their compositions. They just, a lot of them tried to do kind of a prog metal thing, like I'm thinking of Camelot, and weren't super successful at it. I haven't found a Camelot record interesting, frankly, in like 10 years. And a lot of them don't know how to orchestrate. These guys know how to write for an orchestra, which is great. So it's kind of like Rhapsody. Rhapsody was really good at writing for an orchestra with their instruments. A lot of times you hear power metal bands, again like Camelot, last couple of records, where you just have the sound of an orchestra playing. Like it's just playing, all the instruments are just playing. And that itself is not interesting. What's interesting is the content of what you're orchestrating for them. So, the notes that you're writing, the interesting melodies that you happen to be writing, the interesting accompaniments that you happen to be writing. If those aren't interesting, then this texture of an orchestra will not suddenly become interesting in a metal setting. And these guys are really good at milking all of those orchestrations and really using instrumentation appropriately, effectively. I just haven't heard it done quite this well in a metal setting, even from Rhapsody. And there is a guest vocal on here from Fabio Leone. So I just haven't heard it quite as good. Maybe Blind Guardian comes close. Blind Guardian's had some good orchestrations, and Rhapsody's had some really good orchestrations. But these are probably my favorite I've heard so far from a symphonic metal band, for sure. So overall, composition, 10 out of 10. Excellent. Let's talk about the performances. The performances are Also excellent. Maybe I'd probably just say they're 10 out of 10. They're really, really good. Some of the best lead guitar playing I've heard in quite a while on a power metal record. Plenty of surprises in the solos. Extremely impressive, but the main thing is they are extremely expressive. These are very, very expressive guitar solos. Just really, really, really well done. Very effective when you hear them. The rhythm guitar sounds good. I'll address some things with the production about how the rhythm guitar fits into the texture. It's not a bad thing, but the rhythm guitar sounds good. Lead guitar sounds great. Drumming is outstanding. The drumming definitely like holds the ground as far as power metal goes. Sometimes power metal can be a little bit like drummer bot, like these fast 16th notes just kind of firing away, kind of like black metal. But in this case, you get a little bit more than that. Again, I want to reference Lost Horizon. It sounds, it's very reminiscent to me of that great ensemble performance that Lost Horizon gave 10 or 12 years ago as a band. So the drumming's great. The bass lines are really good. They're well performed. And the vocals are outstanding. You have a power metal singer who's able to sing high notes very confidently and with great tone, but is also able to produce a lot of other textures and tones. So very, very excellent performance and from the vocals, and it really, really fits into the compositions is the main thing. If you didn't have that bass, the bass level of the composition supporting all the keyboards and guitars, then the performances wouldn't be as good because they wouldn't have as much to work with. So the performances are excellent as well. Let's talk about production. So the first complaint that you'll see when you go look at the YouTube videos of this, besides the fact that people have like an inherent opposition to like fantasy metal because they think it's cheesy or something. Meanwhile, they may go listen to like Cannibal Corpse that is equally cheesy, but just in a different way. It's like cheesy horror versus cheesy, fantasy. So the production is excellent. I really like the production of this, but there's going to be the same complaints about the production on this record as there was when Time 1 came out by Winter Sun, which is that it's, quote, too quiet. Here's the thing. A record like this, or any really good record where you want to hear a lot of textures, especially with an orchestra, you need to take those earbuds out. In fact, you should just take the earbuds out of your ears and like throw them away. They're garbage. Earbud and sound quality virtually never, they never go well together. You need some bigger drivers if you really want to hear things. Get yourself a good pair of headphones. I'm going to try not to hit my mic with these. These AKG K240s, mine have been through hell and back. I've had these for like 12 years, and they still work great. They still sound great. Get yourself a good pair of Sennheisers or a pair of AKGs. If you want to listen to headphones and hear this. You're also going to need something with a little more output than an iPhone. It's one of the drawbacks of an iPhone with the headphone jack is it's just not a lot of output for something like this. The fidelity is outstanding. And in fact, they even say in the insert, which I have right here, which I set to the side, this album is mastered for optimal fidelity, not for maximum loudness. So this is a step away from the loudness wars. Let me tell you, if you have a good system, this is going to sound incredible. If you don't have a good system, it's probably still going to sound good. But you can't expect a record like this to really blow you away in your earbuds, just like Time 1 by Winter Sun. If you have a good system, Time 1 has an incredible set of production. But the big complaint about Time 1 is like, I can't hear the guitars, or it's too quiet, or I turn it up all the way and I can't hear what you're doing. It's like, you need to go home, not listen to it in your car with the engine noise. Go home, get in a quiet environment, put it on some good speakers. I listened to this on my... I listen to the LP on my good system downstairs, which is an all analog old school system for the most part, on some Harman Kardon speakers. And I listen to it up here on my near field Mackie monitors, which are good. They're like 6-inch drivers. They sound really good for this, for the digital version. Both places they sound really, really good. I will say that the vinyl production, the sound quality on the vinyl, is excellent. It is not always the case. Like, vinyl isn't necessarily better. I prefer to buy vinyl and then listen to MP3s when I'm not, listening to vinyl. But in this case, the vinyl sounds really, really, really good, especially if you have a good amp and a good preamp to really bring out the best of this and a good, good turntable. So I thought the vinyl sounded incredible. And maybe even better than the digital version. In fact, I do think it sounds, in this case, better than the digital version. But that's my preference. I really do prefer the sound of vinyl for most things, especially with things that can be very saturated like metal. But yeah, it sounds really, really good. With the caveat, You can't be listening to this on a really weak system without a lot of output or without a lot of fidelity, or especially on speakers that don't have good reference. They don't amplify all frequencies fairly evenly. So don't listen to these on your Beats. Beats headphones are not good at clear sound replication. Get yourself a pair of Sennheisers or AKGs and really get to listen to good music. So yeah, production I think is excellent. Top to bottom, they mix everything really well. The guitar is very, very audible when you have a good system because of the frequency range that it occupies. It's nice and clear and heavy, but you have this tremendous sound of keyboards and orchestra that really, really fill up the space and make you feel like you're listening to something huge and bigger than life. I mentioned that some of the songs on here, they sound like they're using DCI show design, drum corps show design, and it sounds like that. Like if you've never seen drum corps, it's like the loudest acoustic music you can imagine, and it just like hits you. It feels great to listen to that, and it feels great to listen to this as well. I would love to see this band live at some point too, just to gauge, comparison. Top-notch production. Does it carry over live? I don't know yet. I'm sure there's live videos out there, but it's not the same as seeing them live, so I do want to see them live. So those are the three big ones. They get like perfect scores on those. Last bit. General effect. The general effect is like 11 out of 10. This thing really blew me away. I never wanted to turn off the recording as soon as I put it on. I wanted to listen to it all the way through. Even the track which is just a dude talking about their RP characters, and the last track, which is a choir piece. It's just a choir piece. It works. Like somehow the whole effect works, and it's because they just really, really pursued beauty and like majesty and this fantasy aesthetic from the beginning to the end. So the general effect, definitely good. I highly, highly recommend this. It's probably the best record I've heard this year. And that's coming from a guy who really likes power metal, but hadn't listened to it. I hadn't been super into the genre in some time because I hadn't been hearing things that were really exciting come out of the genre in a long time. And that's the piece that I really, really want to get to, is that I said power metal is back. I think that this makes the genre much more exciting, this band existing. Makes it much more exciting for me. And it makes it more exciting that there's the ability to go out there. There's people out there with that super high talent level that can produce a symphonic metal masterpiece and can really produce some music that will surprise you and will keep you interested in repeating the listen to really figure out what's going on musically. Keep in mind, I'm somebody who's very, very educated as far as musicians go. So it's really rare that you have something that it's like makes me want to stop and go, whoa, what did they just do there? There's so many surprises. That's the main thing, is that they just surprise you all the time. There's all kinds of things you don't expect that aren't part of that power metal genre, but then they still have the elements of power metal that are going to keep you really feeling at home if you're into that genre. There's a lot of good qualities to this. So overall, I highly recommend it. Now, shouldn't just take my word for it, right? You shouldn't just take my word for it. Let's take the word of an actual real life dragon. So tell me, Garamesh, what do you think about the record?
Well, I think it's excellent. I give it 99 out of 5 stars.
Why 99? What about 100?
Well, I have to remove 1 star because the dragon is purple. And if you know anything about dragons, we are green. Notice, green dragon. Green dragon, purple dragon. 1 star deduction. 99 out of 5 stars.
Thank you, Garamesh. I will see you guys next time. Check it out. It is Heroes of Mighty Magic by Twilight Force. I highly recommend it, especially if you're into the power metal genre and the bands I listed like Blind Guardian, Lost Horizon, early Dragon Force, Rhapsody especially. If you're into any of those bands, I think that you're really going to dig what Twilight Force is having to offer to you. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.